A long-awaited investment plan for the UK's armed forces will finally be released on Tuesday after months of delays because of funding rows. So, what can we expect? In a sentence, lots of noise about drones and new technology, but very little certainty on any significant increase in defence spending, which is what the military and our NATO allies had really been wanting to hear. Still, there will be relief that the blueprint is being unveiled, not least because Britain's defence industry has been stuck in limbo, with manufacturers waiting for contracts instead of expanding production lines to prepare for war. Sir Keir Starmer will visit one such company when he unveils the Defence Investment Plan in one of his final acts as Prime Minister. Among the expected announcements is that more than £5 billion will be spent on air, sea and land drones over the next 4 years. That might sound impressive, and the Prime Minister will call it game-changing, saying it will help to keep the country safe and secure long into the future. But it is just a rehash of a previous announcement from a year ago, with an extra £1 billion added on. In reality, the armed forces lack the means to train more widely on the kind of uncrewed systems that have transformed the battlefield in Ukraine. When the full details of the defence plan do emerge, key will be to identify what is genuinely new money, what is more of the same, and what is actually being axed to save cash. For example, the Navy has had to give up on plans for a future fleet of destroyers and will instead make do with budget warships and a suite of uncrewed vessels and drones. There will of course be funding across defence for emerging technologies such as AI, and there will also be investment in long-range missiles, which the UK lacks and urgently needs. However, the overwhelming majority of the equipment budget will remain tied up on big legacy programmes, including renewing Britain's nuclear-armed submarines, a next generation of fighter jets and a fleet of new attack submarines. The Defence Investment Plan has gained almost mythical status in recent months, even prompting the resignation of 2 defence ministers after the Treasury failed to give the Ministry of Defence a big enough uplift in cash. It's worth remembering, though, that the plan itself was only ever meant to be the funding details for a much bigger review of defence that was published last June. That piece of work set out how the government would transform the Army, Navy and the Air Force, but it was never backed up by a big enough budget, which triggered all of the delays. Dan Jarvis, the new Defence Secretary, has secured a bit more cash than his predecessor, but it is still well short of the tens of billions of pounds of additional investment that would be needed to rebuild the military in time for a potential war with Russia by 2030. It will now be crucial to hear what the next Prime Minister thinks about all of this, as that could mean Keir Starmer's investment plan is out of date before the ink even dries.